With these weapons,
Oh boy.
fighting the war on syphilis.
It's cowboy syphilis, apparently.
As told by David Ross. This is the story of syphilis as told by him. This might be a little one-sided.
Yes.
Gotta watch. Okay, thankfully this is an anti-syphilis committee. I was worried that this was going to be some of that pro-syphilis slanted literature. I mean, in the 1930s, it was recent enough that there was a little bit of a divided opinion on syphilis.
But these VD movies are really, they have these epic starts.
Oh, yeah.
The gonorrhea one had
In
this battle him
1905,
at the...
a scientist, Fritz Schaudin, made one of the most important medical
at this.
discoveries of the century.
Put it on the eye.
He discovered the Spirochaeta pallida, the germ of
Did you
syphilis.
do that?
Syphilis,
Why did you
the
do that?
greatest plague of modern times. The positive identification of the syphilis germ was the first
He's
great
got the
step
microscope
toward the
sitting on his
conquest of this
dick.
devastating disease. As a mason builds a house stone on stone, so science builds knowledge on knowledge, bit by bit. Only a
VD on
year
VD.
after the discovery
Syphilis
of the
upon
syphilis
gonorrhea.
germ, Bourdet and Wasserman developed and gave the world the first blood test for syphilis. Syphilis could be diagnosed. Then, 4 years later, in 1910, Paul Ehrlich, in his 606th experiment,
Died in a
produced
syphilis
salvarsan,
explosion.
now called arsphenamine. This drug, when injected into the body, kills the syphilis germ.
It was later reflected that it was a really good thing that he didn't take 6 more trials because no one would take it
Syphilis
then.
could be cured. But medical science, never satisfied, marches on. Treatment was further improved. In 1922, Levaditi found that bismuth aids in the cure of syphilis. Hundreds of other scientists added to medical knowledge. Until today, the diagnosis and treatment of syphilis
Is
are
done
efficient
with heroin.
procedures known
Lots
to
and
physicians
lots of
everywhere.
heroin. If you're tired, your syphilis gets tired.
In spite of the fact that a cure for syphilis has been known for 30 years, syphilis today is one of the most prevalent of serious diseases, a leading cause of sickness and
God.
death.
Oh, there's your problem. You've got that one going vertically.
Yes. Can you imagine
In
catching
America,
infantile
more than 6
paralysis at
million
the age of
people
40?
have
Oh,
syphilis.
God, it's so
1 in
embarrassing.
20. There are 1 million new cases every year. Why?
People
Certainly
won't
its
stop
terrible
fucking.
work can be seen everywhere. Syphilis strikes infants,
In this
kills thousands.
promiscuous baby.
When it does not kill, it may cause blindness, deafness, insanity, or deformity.
This is just a regular blind
In
woman, but
adults,
we're going to give her syphilis.
is a leading
just for an
cause of
example.
heart disease. It strikes men and women in the prime of life, makes many helpless invalids. Its victims help
Invalid.
fill the ever-expanding institutions for the insane. It breaks up
Also
homes,
circuses, but
causes
let's
many
focus on the
divorces.
tragic element for a moment.
Wars. Syphilis kills more than wars. Fires. Syphilis costs more than fires, floods, or famines.
Oh, I thought he was...
Why? Why, when physicians everywhere can diagnose and treat syphilis, do we permit this pale spiral germ to continue its devastation? The answer is ignorance. Ignorance is the greatest ally of syphilis.
Well, then we need to
The rich are
separate them.
penalized by lack of knowledge, as well as
Ignorance
the
needs
poor.
to go back to its
Both
homeland,
suffer
and
because they
syphilis
have
can
not
stay,
learned
but only
the
if it
simple,
agrees to act
hopeful
normal.
truth about syphilis, that it
Assimilate
can be
into the
cured
culture.
and its spread can be prevented. Fortunately, times are changing. Newspapers are
being
aiding the
printed with
campaign
syphilis.
against ignorance. The radio is presenting the facts to millions. Literature is being distributed and read. Speakers
Syphilis
are
is being
instructing
rooted
thousands
out and found
so
wherever
that they
it
will be able
hides.
to protect themselves
Exterminated
and
like
others from
dogs.
syphilis.
This is very similar in feel to the gonorrhea one.
Anyone who thinks he has syphilis should go at once to a physician, because
And be
only a
killed.
physician can diagnose syphilis. Early symptoms are sometimes so slight that they may pass unnoticed.
The most common
The
symptom
disease
is
develops
seeing a doctor.
insidiously. Years sometimes elapse before it makes itself known. A knowledge of the patient's history is the first step in diagnosis.
Well, I was born
Then
in... No, I
follows
don't
a
give a
thorough
shit about
physical
that.
examination.
I didn't tell you
If
to take your
sores are
clothes
found,
off.
as is often the case in early syphilis, a dark field microscope is used to determine whether or not the germs are present. An essential part of any examination for syphilis is a blood test. The
Let me
doctor takes
taste
a
some of
sample of the
this.
patient's blood, seals it
Yep,
in a sterile
you've got
tube,
syphilis.
and sends it to a laboratory.
Now I have some.
There, the delicate and
It's any
complicated test
consolation,
is
this is
applied.
the tastiest
The results
case
are
I've ever
checked
diagnosed.
And then recorded on individual cards.
You must drink a lot.
Only a physician can
Is that
interpret
schnapps?
the results of the test. When syphilis is found,
Oh, good,
treatment
positive.
must begin at once. Early treatment is the patient's great hope of recovery. Cases discovered in
Again,
the early stages
no one told you
can
to take your
usually
clothes
be made
off. I don't know why you all keep
and
doing that.
completely cured. Even in neglected cases, the disease can often be arrested and suffering
Put in the
relieved.
back of a squad car and taken downtown where it is
Modern
beaten.
treatment usually consists of injections of some form of arsphenamine and bismuth, which can be taken without interfering with the patient's daily work. Treatments must be taken regularly and persistently. Injections over a period of a year or longer may be required for
Don't
permanent
worry, this
results.
is good stuff.
The patient must also
Oh,
follow
you
the
wanted me
doctor's
to
orders
get
as
rid
to
of the
food,
syphilis.
proper rest, and particularly his precautions for protecting the health of others. For syphilis is a catching disease, especially in its early stage, transmitted nearly always by close body contact.
And one
It
woman
spreads from
fucks
man
three
to
men.
woman, from woman to man,
Man
from
fucks
husband
three
to
women
wife,
and a duck.
and often
What
from
is that, a
mother
baby?
to unborn child, as
mean-
it claims its million
It looked
victims
like a duck
year.
when it was white.
Since any
Or I'm
syphilis infection
stupid.
is always linked to one
That's
or more
okay.
others, doctor and patient must cooperate to bring under medical care the person who is spreading infections. For treatment makes syphilis non-infectious. The treatment of a
Just
single
to do
case
that.
may prevent the suffering, disability, and perhaps the death of no one
So
knows
if
how many
you
others.
cure those three people, all of the people they gave it to get cured?
Yeah, it's like the mothership.
vampires?
It's like the mothership in Independence Day.
Oh boy,
We're gonna give
that's a
With the
misleading
medical
diagram.
profession
We're gonna
as
give
the
it a
spearhead
virus.
of the attack,
A
the fight against
bacterial
syphilis is
infection.
well begun. Physicians are more alert than ever to discover and treat infections in all persons under their care. Free clinics, hospitals, and health departments provide medical care for those who can afford to pay only
It
small
makes
fees
just as much
or
sense
nothing
as
at
that
all.
stupid movie.
Health agencies contribute by helping to trace infections
That's some
and
hair.
by teaching syphilis
Well, you know what he
victims
is.
how to prevent the spread of infection.
A syphilis patient.
Many states now require
Oh, good.
that
Oh,
every
we can cure
expecting
states.
mother be
Syphilis
examined
all over
and her
the
blood
nation.
tested for syphilis.
But not
most
in
Only in
Wisconsin.
those
step,
states.
For it is one of the miracles of medicine that modern treatment prevents the transmission of syphilis from mother to
Big
unborn
syphilis
child.
tumor being removed.
But
An
back in the
increasing number of
infected
states
country,
require
Bubble,
that before marriage, both bride and groom have an examination, including a blood test for
Oh, they
syphilis.
got Wisconsin, thank
And similar
God.
laws are being pushed in other states, for government has found that millions now spent for
yes,
the support of
discussing the
institutions
legislation of
for
the
victims
syphilitic
syphilis
college.
can be saved. Industry, too, is beginning to
Whether or
realize
not the nation
that war
gets
against
syphilis.
syphilis is tremendously
This is a
important.
syphilis choo-choo.
Compensation costs,
Pumping out
costly
syphilis.
accidents, and labor turnover, often chargeable to syphilis,
These men are
can
marching
be
up a
reduced.
syphilis
And so
tower.
many industries are encouraging infected employees
To
to
get
secure
together
treatment.
and have a good time.
But the work has only begun. There is much
If
to
we
do.
all get syphilis, it'll
Government
become
and
the norm.
citizens have a tremendous task ahead. Schools have a responsibility to teach youth the ways of
Syphilis
health. For
has a line
75% of
under
all
it.
syphilis is contracted before the age of 30. Churches can do much by
by
instilling
stopping
high
fucking
ideals.
children.
Parents can guide, protect, and
Is that
instruct
stopping
growing
fucking
children.
children or stopping
Communities
fucking
can
children?
provide facilities for wholesome play. and
You know, if they
communities,
did
too, must
either at
enforce
this
laws
point, I
to
would
protect
be
youth
impressed.
from degrading conditions. Yes, there is much to be done, but
Pushes it.
thanks to medical science, thanks to research workers, physicians, and public health leaders, all of the weapons for a successful war against syphilis are at hand. Syphilis can be diagnosed. It can be made non-infectious. It can be cured. Only one more thing is needed to defeat the germs of syphilis. Knowledge of the
Mass
facts
extinction.
by every man and woman. With widespread knowledge and with these weapons, America can conquer syphilis in one generation.
Oh, thank God. These scientists keep catching these VDs fucking their wives.
I feel so bad that they keep saying that it could be done in one generation, and 80 years later, no.
No, but now you can live with it. A nice half of a life.
No, we can knock it out of the. We can just done.
Oh, yeah. But
why would you?
yeah, assimilate.
Oh God! You know what I found out? I found out that the way it started,
Yeah.
sheep fucking.